Hey everybody, welcome back to the shop. This is Todd with Industrial Comfort. I've got a very special episode today where I'm going to show you guys how to take a block of oak like this and turn it into a whiskey tasting cup. As you guys well know, whiskey is stored in charred oak barrels. So what I've done is turn this oak tasting cup and I've charred the inside. Now I'm super interested to know whether or not a cup like this is actually going to change the flavor profile of the whiskey that we're going to taste. So what I've done is my first collaboration with a podcaster named Joel who runs Whiskey Rocks. And Whiskey Rocks was one of the top 25 named podcasts of 2023. Super stoked to have him here because I can't think of a better person to help me really get to the bottom of whether this is going to make a difference. So Joel, tell everybody what Whiskey Rocks actually is.
So what we do is on the show, we take whiskey, we take rock and roll, like a band, we find a way to pair them together and just have a good time talking about whiskey and rock and roll, two things that I love. So happy to be here. It's pretty stoked. I'm pretty stoked that my neighbor is doing this stuff and happy to be here to test it out.
Awesome. Well, it's going to take me a little while to turn this out, so I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to call you back when this is done, and we'll see whether or not this thing actually works.
Dude, I can't wait to bust into the wild turkey. All
right? Me too.
All right, talk to you soon.
Thanks, buddy. So the first thing that I'm going to do is bring this over to the lathe. I'm going to cut out a blank. We'll bring back to the lathe, and we'll use a roughing gouge to round it over before we begin the process of contouring the cup. want to pause here real quickly and explain what I've done. Now, in a previous step, you'll notice that I drilled against end grain. And if you've seen any of my previous videos, you know I advocate against this pretty vehemently. But in the case of green wood, it tends to be a lot easier, generates a lot less heat and friction, and it was easier for me to hollow this out using that approach. Again, I would not recommend that for dry wood. Now, what I've done with this blank is create a sort of teardrop shape for the cup. And I did that for two reasons. The first of which is when you have a spherical shape, it increases surface area. And when you increase surface area, you're going to increase the contact area between the cup and the whiskey, which will hopefully aid in the flavor profile. Now, the second thing I've done is taper the neck so that we have a smaller opening up top. What that's going to do is allow us to really concentrate the scent of the whiskey. And as you're probably aware, so much of taste really has to do with your olfactory senses that when we concentrate that scent, again, hopefully it will serve to augment the flavoring of this whiskey that we're going to taste. Now, what I'm going to do next is finish sanding, and then we'll move on to the final finish. As you're all probably aware, when whiskey is stored, it's stored in a charred barrel. So I'm going to use this blowtorch before I apply the final finish to add a gentle char to the inside. Now, I don't want it to be too much that you're sort of drinking flakes of charcoal, but just enough to give it a nice toasty inside. I'm going to go with a two-part finish for this cup. For the first part, I'm going to use wood turner's finish, which is a very low viscous finish, which is going to allow us to penetrate the open grain structure and some of these beetle holes I didn't realize we were going to encounter. First I was kind of annoyed, but I actually think it adds some pretty cool character. Now, once we get the penetrant in, I'm then going to move on to phase two, which is going to be some pure carnauba wax. This will allow us to get a nice sealing coating finish on the outside. I'm also going to use it just to coat the interior of the lip here, and I'm going to leave everything else inside the cup unfinished with the hope that the char and the open oak will help advance the flavor profile of the whiskeys that we're going to taste. I actually like how just the wood turner's finish is coming out, so I think I'm going to skip the carnauba wax. As you can see, it adds a nice high shine and it's food safe. All right, the whiskey tasting cup is done. It's time to get Joel over here for a little whiskey tasting. Okay, everybody, I've got Joel back in the house, and we're going to see whether or not this actually makes a difference. Now, what I told Joel is that I ended up turning this thing green, and so when it was first done, oh my God, it smelled amazing. But now that it's dried out a little bit, the smell has somewhat dissipated. So very curious to know whether or not, again, as I've mentioned before, this is going to have an impact on the taste. This is my sort of prototype that I made a little while ago. So I'm going to drink from this one.
Okay.
I'm going to give Joel, I'm going to give you this one. And let's try some wild turkey and see if you notice anything.
All right.
I probably won't, but that's why you're here.
We'll see. Do you want to taste from the regular glasses first and then the oak?
Sure, yeah.
All right, let's do that first, all right? All right, so we're just going to taste from the regular glasses. You know, this is a very simple taster. This is Wild Turkey's baseline. 81 proof for
Doesn't mean it's not
$20.
awesome.
No, doesn't mean it's not awesome. Hey, if you ever listen to the show, like, we are all about the accessible, affordable bourbons, for sure.
So let me know. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
Let me know sort of, give me the flavor, like what you're smelling. Because as I mentioned when I was turning this thing, a big part of the taste that you're going to get is from your olfactory senses. So what sort of impact will the wood have on that?
Right. So I mean, immediately this has that like Wild Turkey funk to it, which is from the oak that Wild Turkey is stored in. Right. So like the barrels in the Wild Turkey distillery, very very distinct flavor to them and a nose to them, and you get that on the nose. The palate though. I mean, 81 proof, very easy to drink. Right?
Yep.
A little vanilla, a little spice, but not heavy on the spice. Right? I'll say that. Like, not super heavy on the spice. It's a very easy drinker. Picking up a little bit of that like caramel, brown sugar, those types of flavors.
Yep.
In just the regular tasting glass.
Cool.
Right? I'm
actually, I'm not going to finish this because I want to be able to do sort of the side by side.
Of course. That's smart to do it that way. All right, so let's taste it in the oak glass, right? And I'm telling you, I'm really curious what this is going to do.
Yeah, no, I am too.
I am really curious what this is going to do. First off, it's a cool looking glass, right? It's just cool. And, a little,
and it's leaking.
It's leaking a little bit. Yeah, I got a little.
You know what's funny is that during the making of this, I mentioned that I was a little aggravated that there were beetle holes in it.
I remember you saying that.
And sure enough,
the beetle holes are coming in play on mine.
And I'm getting leakage from underneath. I don't know why. I mean, I know oak has exceptionally sort of open grain structure, but I guess we better taste quick.
Okay, so the nose is better. I will say that.
Yeah.
The nose is more complex. It's a little bit deeper, right?
Yeah.
There's a little bit more to the nose immediately.
Oh, yeah. Watch out.
I love it.
I don't think anyone's going to be watching these videos anymore, man.
The taste is right there. Probably a little bit more sweet than just the regular glass. A little bit more sweetness is what I'm picking up. I mean, it's really unique because like the nose was a lot deeper than just your regular glass nose, right?
Which should affect the flavor profile,
and it does. And I got a lot more sweetness out of the oak glass. We got to find a way to seal it, maybe. You know?
Yeah.
We got to find a way to seal it.
I
think that's our next.
It's a little embarrassing, Joel.
We just got to find a way to seal it. I think we find a way to seal it, and we're in good shape, right?
Oh my god!
But I think that's kind of a cool It's a cool concept because bourbon is aged, whiskey is aged in oak. So why not drink it out of oak?
Totally agree. I mean, that was why I kind of wanted to do this for you.
Totally.
This was supposed to be a gift for you, but I can clearly understand why you wouldn't want it.
Oh, listen to this. I'll still take it. Are you kidding me? We'll figure it out.
I'll make sure that we plug the holes
there
for sure. Go. So anyway, listen, I hope you guys found this helpful aside from the fact that it was a little leaky. But if you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. And thanks for watching. And thank you for your help, man.
Of course, man. Anytime. It's always fun.
Right.